How important is leadership in a small business? Hi, that's the topic for today because today I took a day away from the business, and so those are the days I'm working from home in order to think about stuff that happens. It's usually I do that on a Friday because I have the full week to review and then start fresh for the next week. So over the weekend, I'm basically planning out the next week and gathering all the thoughts and all the discoveries I had over the past week in order to make sure that next week gets propelled forward. Now, when you talk about leadership, a lot of people think leadership has also something to do with control. But the better your leadership capabilities are, the less you need to use force or processes. And here's why. Imagine everyone in the company knows exactly where you want to go. The goals are known in the company, or there is even a goal or a purpose in the company. You would be surprised how many small businesses do not have goals they work towards to, or they don't articulate a proper purpose. Sometimes the purpose is totally different depending on if there are multiple family members running the business. Is there a management level? I mean, the purpose varies. And that's the thing about leadership. Leadership tries to unite all of this. And your job as a leader is to make sure everybody knows the direction you go to. It's not your job to do the stuff. This is why it's often referred to that when you are buying and investing into businesses, it doesn't require you full time. That means it doesn't require you full time working in it. But the more you work on it, the better you advance things, the easier it will get in the long run. And what I learned about leadership is that the more I communicate, and I'm not the world's best communicator, but the more I'm trying to communicate and I'm trying to enforce the message and I'm making sure where the goals are and I'm explaining the why, because most of the people don't have a why. But if you have a why in your company, you are a big step ahead of everybody else. But the more I'm expressing the why are we doing things? Why do we want to go this way? Why do we want to grow the business? What does that mean? Like, what's the benefit for everybody? It's like, what's in it for me? That's all the employees care for, and rightfully so. For us as a business owner, it's the same thing. You think about that as well. If you apply for a customer's job, if you are a contractor or if you are making parts like we do, it's like you are also thinking, what's in it for me? Now that thing, what's in it for you as the business owner, is different than what's in it for the employee. But every human being cares about that. That's how we are wired. And so the leadership you have to apply in a small business is about that. It's like you have to be able to explain what is in it for each and every one working in your business. And the other thing is align everyone towards it. Because you would be surprised in how many even in small business, in big companies, it's a normal thing. I worked a decade in a big company, and I have many friends and colleagues that work in different big companies, and every big company seems to be kind of the same thing. It's like people are working not like cohesively alongside each other, but sometimes against each other. Sometimes they cross each other's pathways. They go after the same clients and so on and so on. I mean, it's not a vlog on big companies. But you would be surprised how often in small companies people are not working towards the same goal. They don't like each other. They don't understand each other. Sometimes they might be jealous of each other. There are many, many different reasons for that. And it's the worst thing because it creates stress, fear, doubt, chaos, and at the end, mediocre results at best. People have to trust each other. But in order to trust each other, they have to trust whoever leads them. Because whoever leads them will make sure that there is a framework in place that enforces a cohesive action. Sometimes that means disciplinary action if people don't follow the agreed rules. It means setting rules. It means unifying the workforce. It means pushing, but it also means, and this is a big trouble in a lot of companies, accountability. And that's something I've observed also this week in our businesses. We are not good enough on holding people accountable. What do I mean by that? If you are an employee, you are paid for doing a job, and you are paid for doing that job well. As I'm not talking about, like we did another thing, like another video on overtime and unpaid work and so on. It's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is if you take a job, then you have to do that job. That means you show up on time, you are motivated to do that job, you do the job to the best of your capabilities, you support your teammates, and you don't hide any problems. And for sure you don't lie. And accountability is about making sure everybody understands that. But also, if somebody promises a delivery date, if the salesperson goes and goes to the production leader and says like, okay, I need, like the customer is asking for a delivery date on end of May, can we do it? And the production manager agrees that we can do it, then we have to do it. There has to be accountability, and there has to be also pride in that we're able to do it. And sometimes we're lacking that. And it's an organizational thing. It's a grown thing. First of all, out of the history of the companies, it was always like that. That was never a problem, and it's normal to be late. Is sometimes what's used, but it's not. In manufacturing, there is no reason, if you plan things correctly, to be late. And on some customers, we're not late. We're 99.88% on time, which is, first of all, a miracle, but it's a very, very good on-time delivery. A very good one. Now, on others, we're late. Now, that customer might be happy, but other customers are frustrated. So we have to establish the accountability that we have to get it right overall. And that we have to, if we agree to something, we have to make sure we have the right resources. And that people get trained to do their jobs properly. And we invest in the tools in order to do the jobs faster. So not work harder, but work smarter. And that's what leadership is about. It's about like continuously you have to push that message every single day and in every conversation. And I saw a video from Gary Vee, and he was asked about how he gets so much done, and he basically said, well, I'm shortening the meetings to like 15 minutes, and it's a quick bum 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 bum, and there we go. And you can do that. On the other hand, especially in a change cycle or when you are new to the business, you might not want to do that. I'm doing that from time to time on purpose. If I don't have time or I don't want to deal with something, I'm cutting it short. But on the other hand, is what I found is if you take the time to people, and you might end up in a 1 hour meeting, you might talk about 20 minutes about the thing that the meeting is dedicated to, being it health and safety, for example, being it quality, whatever it is, like that thing, like plan out the project, how are we doing, where are we, what are the next steps. That might be that. But very often you can use the other minutes to strengthen the message. And sometimes you have to take that time. And that's also leadership, because you are communicating that purpose. You have to lead by example, that's one thing. But on the other hand, you have to communicate the vision, the why, the what's in it for each and every single person, and you have to do that over and over and over and over again. It's over communicating. And believe me, I fell into that trap more than one time that I did not over communicate because I'm assuming that somebody understands what I mean. And there comes the one thing you can do extra is you can ask for somebody to repeat the why, the message, the vision, whatever you said back to you in their own words. And you will see if that person really understood what you meant. And the second thing about leadership is listening. Very often, I'm doing walk-arounds around our factory and I'm just listening. I'm just watching, I'm just observing. I'm like a sponge trying to understand things and trying to get information. And I'm not jumping the gun and trying to do something or trying to make something better immediately. I've done that in the past, and in a crisis situation, that might be the right response. But in a normal type of environment, it's better to listen first and talk later. And if you adhere to those small tips around leadership, then you should be way better off. So find the why, define the purpose, and make sure that in your small business, everybody's actually working as a unit and they are not working against each other, that they are trusting each other, and that they understand where the company wants to go. And if you as the business owner do not have a goal, you might want to start working on that first, setting small steps, small goals, and start communicating about that. If you need any help with that, let me know. I'm happy to help you. Cheers, guys. See you soon.